We'll be starting the session in very soon, yeah, in 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. We can start the session now.
A very warm welcome to all present here. Thank you for joining us in this webinar where we celebrate the Pride Month. The Pride Month is observed every year on June to empower the LGBTQ community. And today we have with us Mr. Adam Harry, first transman pilot of India, to share his views and experiences. And without further ado, I invite Mr. Harry to start off this amazing session.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'm so happy to be a part of this program. Thank you for providing this fabulous opportunity. And I'm so happy that many people are conducting sensitization classes and gender awareness talks and discussion platforms in many colleges, especially during this Pride Month. And I'm so happy about that. And it is very important to make your campuses cure friendly as well by conducting classes and also by hanging pride flag in your college, or you can start a cure club in your college and make your campuses inclusive. This is just small suggestion for you all, and I hope that if some people may ask if there is nobody in our college or in our campus came out as a cure person. What is the need in starting a cure club in your campus? Many people have asked me about this, but you can act as a legit true ally if you start cure cure a club in your college, and by doing it you can literally give some awareness, and you can educate other people who lack awareness about LGBTQI community. Also, when you conduct such sessions, try to be more inclusive by adding different diversities. And when it comes to LGBTQI talks or awareness sessions, people mainly invite the people invite transgender people and homosexual people to the panel discussion. But there are many other diversities as well in the community, like gender people. When it comes to sex, sex is not just a binary. There are a lot of diverse people in the sex spectrum. Back in 80s, I think sex was classified and considered as a binary. And later, when our science has grown and when World Health Organization has a classification of sex as three: female, male, and intersex. Intersex people are the people who born with both genitals partially or completely, and even the intersex category is also a spectrum. There are different type of intersex people in our society. And also when we talk about sexuality, it is not just homosexual and heterosexual people. There are n number of diversities in sexuality as well. When we look into the spectrum of LGBTQIA plus, the plus stands for a number of other gender and sexuality diversities. So if you could add them as well for the coming sessions, it would be very helpful for the people to understand what they are and what these terms stands for. And also, I have been taking classes in this since the Pride Month started, and I have been explaining all these abbreviations of what are these LGBTQIA plus stands for, and I've been tired explaining all these abbreviations. And before you people start classes or discussions, just do some small researches about LGBTQI community and what these terms stands for. Whenever we start talking about it, many people come up with the questions such as, when did you choose to become a transgender? Or when did you become a transgender? Why did you change your gender? I have heard such questions from many students, but that is absolutely politically incorrect. And if you have some questions, I'm happy to help you, even it is a bad question. But do some research about LGBTQI community. Many people think that it is your community's responsibility to educate other people, but it is so is yours. You have to learn about it, and if you do not know about something, you can just simply go and ask any community or any people who belongs to this community. They can explain well about their own experience, and try not to be phobic, and try to use some uh, general neutral words, and try to ask them their pronouns. And myself, I'm a transgender person, transgender male, and I identify as a trans man, and my pronouns is he, him, his. So let's start with the history of Cure Pride Month. So this month, June, is celebrated as Pride Month, and we all know, when we look back in 1969 at Stonewall Inn, Kyo people protested against atrocities of police in Stonewall Inn, and many of them lost their lives. And later, after a year, in New York, people from the Kyo community gathered in the memory of that day. It was happened in June. That's why this month is celebrated as Pride Month. So I hope that you have heard about it, and also many people have a doubt in the term cure. Cure, if we explain the word politically, if you Google the term cure, you will find a lot of misleading informations in Google. But for me, politically, when we define the word cure, cure means they are the people who are other than heterosexual and cisgender, who comes under the umbrella term cure, which means everybody belongs to the LGBTQIA plus community, belongs to the tag or the umbrella term cure. So the people who are not other than who are other than heterosexual and cisgender belongs to this term cure. Okay, so we all know India is hailed as a transgender friendly country, and also Kerala is hailed as a transgender friendly state. But yeah, as we all look back in 2011, our transgender Social Justice Department has done research in 2011. They have done a survey about transgender people in Kerala. But the government asked authorities that do they even exist? That's what the government asked authorities when they started researching about the transgender people in Kerala. Actually, the situation before 2014, back in 2011, it was not an environment. Kerala wasn't a place where transgender people felt comfortable to survive. It was not a favorable space for trans community to survive. So back in that time, we have a lot of organization since 2002, 2004. Sahayatrika was a well-known organization who worked for female sex assigned at birth communities, especially for transman, lesbian, non-binary people who are assigned sex, whose sex assigned at birth is female. So they were also here who worked for the trans people's worked for trans people's transgender people's rights. And in 2011 and 2004 to back in those years, when trans people dress up as they are, when they express their identity, we were not, our Kerala people were not ready to accept them. They literally discriminated trans people, and they were blaming them for cross dressing. They were literally, how people were abusing transgender people. The situation was very worst until 2014. I hope you know about Nalsa verdict, which was passed by the Supreme Court. The verdict was passed by the Supreme Court, and it was after this verdict, we transgender people got recognized in the society, and we got a lot of visibility than the previous years. And the verdict was stating that every individual has the right to declare their identity by themselves. And later, in the year of 2015, our Kerala government has came up with a policy, and that policy is Kerala is the first state to have a policy for transgender people. And then the people who migrated from Kerala before 2014, people used to migrate from our place to some other places like Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, and they formed a community. They have been a part of Hijra community, Kinnar, Koti. There are different type of varieties of communities among transgender people in northern side. So they were a part of this community, and they were not, the society was not ready to accept them as they are. And they worked as sex workers, beggars. They begged in street. And uh, society still believes that they belongs to that kind of works. Or when transgender people comes to mainstream society, when they work in well-known professions. And we all know that media always celebrates whenever a transgender person achieves something, whenever a transgender person or queer person. When we talk about the community, whenever we talk about the achievements of queer people, our media give us a tag of first transgender person, first gay man, or first queer person to do this, do so, like that. They give us the tag of this. But nobody knows how hard it is for a person, especially who belongs to this queer community. There are many people who is very vulnerable in this community, especially trans people, gender non-binary people who are sexual, whose sex is the female assigned at birth, and homosexual people. These people have vulnerable situations in their life whenever they come out as this, to their come out in their true identity. So uh, we all know India is known as a very transgender friendly country. But when we look at the IPC 377, it has just abolished few years back. It gives homosexual people the right to have a consensual sexual relationship, but it doesn't give us the basic human rights which allows every individual by this constitution of India. When we take the Transgender People's Protection Right Act, which was a bill into back in 2019, and it says that in that particular transgender people's protection right act, that word is very important. So they are saying that that is a protection right act, but it doesn't include any basic rights of transgender people. Our constitution says in article 14, 15, 21, it says about the right to live, right of privacy, non-discrimination laws are there. But still, the trans even after transgender people's protection right act, even after abolishing 377, homosexual people or transgender people doesn't have the right to marry, right to own property, right to adopt children, sorry, right to adopt a child. So these are the basic rights which are every individual of the society deserves in this in our country. But we are not allowed to marry somebody. Yeah, we are breaking stereotypes, and we all know there is a transgender couple who got married in our country. I think two years back, they are known as the first transgender couple in India, and they got married. They just got married legally just because they changed their gender in their documents to female and male. The people who ever hold the gender identity as transgender cannot marry legally. And even the people change their gender identity to female or male to the binary, they are not allowed to adopt a child, and they are not allowed to hold on a property. Even the homosexual people have same issues like us. So these are the problems that we still face. And also when it comes to the transgender people's protection right act laws, uh, when it comes to women's right, whenever a person assault or sexually abuse a woman, rape a woman, we have a law which imprison the criminal from 7 years up to lifetime imprisonment. But when it comes to transgender people, our laws are the particularly in Transgender People's Protection Right Act. It says that if a transgender woman get accused, raped, or killed, they only get imprisonment up to 2 years. That is a clear discrimination. And this is not just this is not just a single one. We have a list of discriminatory laws which has passed recently through the Transgender People's Protection Right Act. It has directly affected our transgender policy as well. We had a transgender India. Kerala is the first state to have the policy, and they have implemented several schemes, many schemes for the welfare of transgender people, and by including a lot of different gender identities as well, not only transgender for not only for transgender women and men. They included non-binary gender queer people to this category, and also they included intersex people to this category, and they are providing everybody schemes such as they providing identity cards, and they provide financial assistance for students, and also for the entrepreneurs who belongs to the transgender community. And when it comes to the schemes, there are a lot of schemes which is developed by the Kerala government, uh, and we are a role model to other states as well. But the central policy has affected these schemes as well. They were questioning those policies, were questioning our schemes such as providing ID cards. Now, as I said earlier, NALSA judgment gives transgender people the right to declare their identity. But after 2019's policy, it clearly violates NALSA judgment's verdict. Like in according to NALSA judgment, we can define our gender. Gender, we cannot predict one's gender by looking at their genitals, or by it is sex biologically assigning. We can assign somebody's sex by biological features, but gender is not something that we assign looking at their biological features. Gender is here. We cannot look here and define one's gender. So we are the best people who can define our gender by ourselves, and nobody else nobody else can define our gender better than us. So, according to the Trans People's Protection Right Act, it denies our right to declare our gender by ourselves, and now we have to go through a lot of medical procedures. And it is the according to the act, it mandates that the transgender person have to undergo through any medical interventions to prove that we belongs to this community, and it is very discriminatory. And also, when we talk about inclusion, we have seen during this Pride Month as well, we have seen many companies changing their logos. They are sharing posts, many politicians sharing posts. For example, MK Muni has shared a post during the beginning of Pride Month, and he removed that post, unfortunately, for uh, uh, for he got blamed by his party members that he was like, they were saying that he was promoting sin and he was promoting unnatural relationship. People still believe that it is a sin, maybe due to some deep religious beliefs, or people are becoming very phobic due to their lacking, due to lack of awareness. uh, I think we can definitely help to reduce phobia in our society by doing a lot of, by conducting sensitization classes, by providing awareness to every mainstream society. Like for example, even we are getting discriminated everywhere from the society, from our parents, from our family. Our family is the first bully of a pure person. Then when we go to school, we get bullied, harassed, we get mocked by teachers and students as well. And after that, when we go to college, we don't get a like, sorry, we don't get a good environment to express our gender, to show our true identity. People discuss. There is an example. There is a recent example that I have to share for you. Last time we had a we all know Calicut Medical College is a trans friendly campus. But still, when a person, when a trans woman came out as a transgender person in Calicut Medical College, those students, her colleagues were very uncomfortable. They were afraid to share hostel rooms with her. They were afraid to sit next to her. So people are really phobic. Even we say that it is a transgender friendly campus, or even when the government provides trans people the reservation, um, everything is in paper. Like every we all know we have laws and regulations, and still many people thinks that okay, trans people are getting privileges nowadays. They are having privileges more than cis people nowadays, and they are enjoying the privileges. They are making use of the privileges. Like they said, it, when women has empowered, when women talk about feminism, they use cis hetero men use the same way, and they say that oh, women have a woman's cell, and they are getting more privileges than men. uh, I have heard of it. This is not privilege. Actually, we have these gender categories such as women and transgender people, gender non-binary, gender queer people are oppressed communities. They have denied their rights for decades. When we look back, we know it clearly denied our rights, especially for women. They have been fighting since decades for their rights. Now, when they get their opportunities, when they enjoy their privileges, we say, not we, not us. The cis hetero patriarchal men says that they are getting more privileges nowadays. And also, I have heard many men talking about their freedom. Most of the time, I have heard that some progressive cis hetero men says that, meninist men says that in my family, I have given enough freedom to my girlfriend or wife. I have given freedom for my sister to wear this and that. But I don't know when did man become a wholesale seller of freedom. Everybody has a right to enjoy their freedom or privileges regardless of their gender. When we comes to the term third gender, it was used by the magistrate who passed the NALSA verdict back in 2014. He used the term third gender. This term was used frequently by medias and In Kerala also we have heard that there is a particular term in Malayalam, Moonalingam, Binnalingam. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് ടേമുകൾ നമ്മൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. മലയാളത്തിലാണെങ്കിൽ മലയാളത്തിൽ ഒരുപാടുണ്ട് ഇതുപോലത്തെ കുറച്ച് ടേമുകൾ. Like third gender is also a classification of privileges. When we like who hold the first position. First position, when we look at the privilege, men hold the first position. When it compares to other gender identities, when it comes to women, they don't have many privileges as men. Like when they go outside, they don't. Men don't have to experience. Men don't basically experience such traumas as women experience. And very underprivileged categories, it is transgender people. They don't really experience any privilege from the society, from school, society, workplace, everywhere they face discrimination. So I hope that we can make changes in our society by working on it. And also, many people accept transgender people thinking that it is a disorder. They confuse it and they think that, oh, trans people are having this disorder. It is not their fault. They born this way. I have heard a lot of things like this, a lot of statements like this from cis hetero people. And I would like to say this is not a disorder. And those people who accept transgender people thinking that it is a disorder do not accept homosexual people. They think that homosexuality is a choice, but being a transgender is a disorder. But if you say that homosexuality is a choice, I have a question for you all. When did you choose to become a heterosexual person? When did you choose to become a cisgender person? If being a homosexual is a choice, I would like to ask you, when did you choose to become a heterosexual? And also, as a trans man community doesn't have a lot of visibility in our country. Unfortunately, due to the patriarchy, we don't have a lot of visibility. So we frequently, people ask this question frequently that why did you choose to become a male? Is that you want to enjoy male privileges? I have heard this question a million times. Actually, we are not choosing this identity and we are not getting enjoying male privileges when we transition our body to a comfortable level that we wanted it to. We are not changing. It is our identity. We just want our identity to reflect into our bodies, and we are not getting the privileges as the privileges experienced by the cis men in our society. We are going to a community where we don't have any privileges. If it was a choice, why should I have to choose to become an underprivileged community member rather than choosing to be a cisgender heterosexual person? I would have selected that. If I have a choice, if I had a choice, I would have stayed in a privileged position or in a privileged gender identity if I had a choice. But this is not about choosing genders. This is about their sexuality, identity, and their gender. And also, yeah, yeah, as I said, many people think that it is a disorder. So we can talk about some scientific factors about transgender community. We all know ICD, International Classification of Diseases. International classification of diseases are followed by 184 countries, including India. It is by World Health Organization. Many doctors follows this ICD, and in ICD, ICD's first edition was formed in 1948. That edition's name was ICD-6. So in the very first edition of ICD, it says that homosexuality is a disorder. And back in that time, they used to doctors and medical practitioners used to practice correction therapies, corrective treatments, corrective rapes were used to practiced by the doctors during that time, and still doctors are practicing even though it is illegal in our country. And at that time, then our science had only very less resources to study about the cure community. Then later we got a lot of data after a lot of studies, and also the cure community protested against this act of World Health Organization by including the including homosexuality in the disorder section. And later, the World Health Organization got the fact that homosexuality doesn't belongs to a disorder category. Then later they declassified, and ICD-10 was formed in 1990s. And still the day when the World Health Organization was ready to hear from the cure community is celebrated as International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, Biphobia, which was in last month, May 17th. And yeah, so it is not a disease. Then later in ICD-11, it clearly states that being a transgender is also not a disease. They declassified gender dysphoria from the disorder section, and now they replaced the term gender dysphoria to gender incongruence. So from this, it is clear that it is not a disorder, or it is not a problem within transgender community or your people. Uh, the problem is with the mindset within the mindset of cis hetero people, and also because of the conditioning by our society, we have learned this way. Our society conditioned every genders. When we are a kid, in our childhood, our parents, if we are if a kid is biologically determined as a female, they give soft toys and they condition her in a way to be calm and quiet and do this that. They will provide her with some duties, and if it is a man, if it is a boy child, they provide him with hard toys, and they condition in a way that we think what men should be. And we think that masculinity belongs to men, and we think that femininity belongs to females or women. And we should definitely break these stereotypes. And also, for example, when we comes to transgender people, many people have asked me why trans women are acting so feminine. Why shouldn't they? Actually, it's their way of expressing their identity. There is no too much femininity and not too much masculinity. We can express our gender that in a way that we want. If a gay is feminine, not all gays are feminine. They don't have to be feminine. There are masculine gays, gay men, masculine gay men, feminine gay men. They are gender queer people, gender non-binary people who don't want to belong into any binaries. They don't want to identify themselves as female, or they don't want to identify themselves as a male. They just want to be a human. So there are different diversities in our society. So all we want is the acceptance, and like any other gender, we also have the right to live our life, and we have the right to enjoy our privileges in the society. And I think it is not just your people's responsibility to talk about this, though it is also your responsibility to educate others if you have got enough knowledge about the community. And definitely it will help us, and it will definitely change our society in a good way. So I'm done speaking. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Thank you once again. Thank you so much, and wishing you a happy Pride Month. Thank you.
So we already have some questions. First, I would like to, what was your inspiration to become a pilot, and who was your support system throughout your journey?
Actually, when I was a kid, I have shared this story 1,000 times in my interviews, but once again, I will share it. When I was a kid, when I was 6 years old, my dad gifted me a fighter plane. Ever since, I dreamt of nothing but the idea of being in a cockpit. and that's when I decided to become a pilot. And my family supported me when I was as I was from an Orthodox Muslim family. I had a lot of limitations, but still my family supported me. But I was, when it comes to gender, they were very ashamed of my gender identity. They were not supportive. I wasn't even allowed to wear a pair of jeans outside my home. So you can imagine how difficult it will be for me. And also, I was not from a financially sounded family. So I had those barriers in front of me in my journey, but they applied for a loan to send me for higher education. And that's how I went to South Africa for my studies. And that's it. Thank you.
So we have another question. Can you describe your experience in your first flight?
That was a wonderful experience. As we all know, the view from the cockpit is wonderful, fabulous view we are getting every day whenever we fly in a cockpit. Uh, Actually, my first experience of flying in a cockpit is when I was 17 years old. That was my very first experience in Cessna 172 four-seater aircraft. When I went to Johannesburg, the very first day they took me for an introduction flight, and I was afraid. I was also a person who had height fears. Yeah, just before flying the first flight as a pilot, I thought that it will be very dangerous to see the ground from height, and also we are sitting in the cockpit. But I was very excited as it was my passion to fly. So when I got the control handle in my hand, I felt so weightless, and I felt like I'm floating in the sky, and I left all the burdens and all the problems back in earth, and I flew weightlessly in the sky. And the main thing was the view. The view was wonderful, and still I really enjoy every each and every moment of in my flight, and I consider it as a passion. I don't consider it as a job, and so I really do enjoy each and every moment whenever I spend time in the cockpit. Thank you.
This is for the participants. If you have any questions for the speaker, you can either unmute yourself or use the chat box. For the participants using YouTube, you can use your live chat option.
Actually, I did my PPL from Johannesburg from Skyhawk Aviation Academy, and currently I'm training to be a pilot. I'm doing my commercial pilot training from Rajiv Gandhi Academy for Aviation and Technology, which is in Trivandrum Airport. And also, I'm planning to quit from Rajiv Gandhi as I'm facing a lot of discrimination from Indian government, and I was grounded for 7 months for disclosing my identity. And still, I am fighting for my rights in India, and they are not ready to accept me in my own identity. So I was very uncomfortable spending my time at transphobic environment. So I requested Kerala government to help me in this scenario, and they are ready to accept the request. And now they help they I agreed to send me back to South Africa for my training, and I hope that I can continue my studies back in South Africa. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. It was a journey. It was a huge, uh, you know, hurdle for me. Coming like achieving each and every goals of my life, and I, as a trans person, especially for transmen, we have a lot of uh, uh, barriers that we have to cross. So coming out as a trans person was the first ever barrier that I have post. And then my family disowned me as I came out as a trans person. They were very ashamed and they kicked out me for being a transgender. And then I really worked hard to achieve my goals. Like Paulo Coelho said, if you really want to achieve something, the entire world will conspire in helping you to achieve it. I believe in it, and I really wanted to become a pilot. I really wanted to be in cockpit. That's why uh, I don't say that entire world was with me in this journey. Uh, Most of the people, majority of the people were against me. My friends, family, colleagues, everybody was against me. But few people they stood up with me and they helped me in different ways when they gave me emotional support. So those people really helped me in my throughout my journey, and still there are many people who apologized me for being so phobic back in my school days, especially when my trainer, who was very phobic towards me, kicked me out of removed me from NSS camp. He called me back and I invited their session NSS camp last year. So many people are recognizing, sorry, they are accepting me nowadays. So it is a huge achievement for me now, and society is changing. But because I came out as a trans person, because I gave my interviews and I was a TED talker last year, and after watching my interviews, many of the trans people have came and talked to me regarding their acceptance. Many of their families accepted them because they showed many of other trans people's life stories. So uh, actually those words are the real achievements for me. If as I was the first person in the community will have to go through a lot of hell, and I didn't stop it because not only just to hold the first transgender tag, I don't want to hold that tag, but it will open a door for other community members to get into this particular field. So that's why I still moving forward. Thank you. That's all.
Can you brief on how the training course was and all the duration and nature of training?
It depends upon people, the person to person, the duration and also the geography also matters. When it comes to India, it is taking too much time for trainees to complete their course. And in Rajiv Gandhi Academy, their course duration is 3 years. I don't think it will be completed within 3 years. Sometimes it is taking too much time to get time to get the sorties available, as we have only three aircrafts available, 172 aircrafts, and we have a lot of students there looking for sorties. So I suggest you to opt training outside India, or in northern sides. We have a lot of good academies like IGRUA and Mumbai Flying Club. Yeah, but still in India, it is very difficult to get the sorties and uh, complete the training as soon as possible. They may say that you can complete the training within 18 months, 10 months, 1.5 years, but it will take a long time to complete the training from India. But when it comes to expenses, India is better, and we have a lot of other scholarship schemes as well by the central government as well as Kerala government, especially for women, aviation scholarship for women, and SC/ST scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people. They do get scholarship as well from the Kerala government as well as the central government, and OBC people, they also have a reservation, scholarship and loan schemes as well for the training. That's it. And otherwise, if the fees you may cost, if you are choosing conventional, it may cost you around 35 to 45 lakhs for conventional training. And for if you are opting cadet pilot program. I hope you all have heard about a lady who recently became a pilot in Trandrum. She did her pilot training from Sharjah, and she did a cadet pilot training from Alpha Aviation Academy, and her fees was about 2.5 crores. And cadet pilot programs are very expensive. Indigo have a cadet pilot program. Their fees is around 1.5 crore, and SpiceJet has their own cadet pilot program that cost around 80 lakhs, and SpiceJet AirAsia has also their own cadet pilot program. The good part of opting cadet pilot program is they provide you with a placement, but it is not guaranteed if your flying skills are bad. But yeah, there is a higher probability of getting into job if you are opting cadet pilot
While
program.
pursuing, while pursuing your dreams to be a pilot, how welcoming were your classmates or colleagues?
When I came out. Actually, when I came out as a trans person in my Vision Academy back in South Africa, everybody accepted me except Indians. They were not ready to accept me. They asked me, like, why did you change your gender, or why did you choose to become a trans? I would, as I said earlier, it was not a choice, and I was always my gender was very visible from my gender expression. From very young age, I expressed my gender this way, and I didn't used to grow my hair. I always used to shorten my hair, and my attitude, gestures, everything was as of a man. So it was very easy to identify my gender. And that's why I got mocked and bullied from my colleagues. And the same thing happened with me when I came out in South Africa. But other people were accepting, other people from South Africa were accepting this. Thank you.
This is for the participants. You'll have a feedback form in the chat box. Certificates will be given for the participants who fill out the feedback forms.
Can I answer the last question about cadet pilot
Yeah, sure.
program?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Cadet pilot program is a training basically conducted by the airlines itself. We have many other aviation academies who conduct the training. Like we have private and government aviation academies, but they don't provide any job assistance. But for when the airlines conduct programs, they provide us with job assistance, and also they provide us with typewriting assistance. All these courses included in the in the whole program cost, especially when we do our training in conventional in private academies or government academies. We are just holding up a commercial pilot license. We don't get typewriting in particular aircraft. For typewriting, we have to pay again additional about 20 to 25 lakhs rupees to airlines when we look for a job. But in cadet pilot program, we have a package of typewriting and commercial pilot training, ATPL, frozen subjects, airline transportation pilot license subjects we can clear in that particular program. And I think most of the training is happening in US and Canada. I think Indigo's training is happening in New Zealand. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. You can Google about it, and you will get the results in their official website. Thank you.
We have reached the end of this glorious session. On behalf of ISTE Student Chapter GEC Bartonhill, I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks to our speaker, Mr. Adam Harry, for his presence. Thank you, sir, for sharing your inspiring journey with us. You are an exemplary person, and we have a lot to learn from you. Now, I would like to thank all the team members for their efforts and all the participants for their active participation. Thank you everyone for making this event a grand success.
Thank
After
you
filling
all.
out
Thank you, everyone.
after filling out the feedback forms, you can now leave the meeting.